All right, Alec. I hope you're happy. Michael hit his wife, just like we wanted him to.
That's yeah, that's what we that is exactly what we wanted when we ended the Godfather, the first film.
People, you said it would
Exactly
never
what we wanted.
happen, and here we are.
Did I say it would never happen?
Yeah, he said something about it, where it was like, hopefully it doesn't come to that. Well, because I
Yeah.
was saying this relationship, my
I
bold
mean,
prediction was that the
I mean,
relationship would not go well.
no,
Um,
I knew that was
and
inevitable, given I felt given the sort of trajectory of having a sequel.
here's the thing. I think, to me, it would be crazy to say that this was better than the first one. That seems like not in the realm of possibility for me. I think the first one's significantly better than this one. What do you think?
I disagree.
Really?
Yes.
How?
It's a bold statement. I think this is a movie that I'm gonna have to sit with for a little while. Thematic, like I would say this one's not nearly as it's not a happy movie. It's not a crowd pleaser by any means, which I think when this movie first came out, it was fairly divisive, and I think I understand why. Because it's very different tonally from the first film, where the first film is kind of it's sort of the rise of Michael into taking over for his father until he basically becomes his father. But this movie delves into the actual dark side and the dark implications of actually becoming a mafia boss, and
Mm,
like what that does. And the movie is about the destruction of family, the destruction of uh actual real like connection and friendship, and it's about how one person loses his soul. That's what the movie is. He loses his soul.
mm-hmm.
um and it's like it's such a
Um,
poetically beautiful tragedy.
you
It's
could,
heartbreaking.
yeah, you could argue that the soul was already lost by the end of the first movie.
No, I would disagree, because you see you see a steady decline in even in this film. He sort of starts. I mean, yeah, he has element. He's definitely a darker personality than he was when we were introduced to him in the beginning of the first film. But I think it's what happens in this film is causes him to do that. Like he does things that he wouldn't have done at the very beginning of the film. There are things that he does particularly towards the very end. He would not have done that at the very beginning of the movie.
Hmm.
So it's the reflection and the essentially lack of redemption, I guess, that he even himself understands towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to really put into words. It's just this is while we talked about how huge the first film was, I think this is even like it's even broader in the sense that like it's a lot more sprawling in terms of what it's saying thematically and how it's tackling all of that. So for starters, here's one thing we can talk about. We know very little about these films. I had no idea going into this movie that it was going to be a prequel and a sequel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't know that either. I didn't expect to see Vito Corleone again.
No, that was amazing. Um, so I was stunned by that to begin with. I was like, "Oh, okay, this
Mm-hmm.
is kind of interesting."
Well, yeah, I was like,
Um,
what? I was surprised, especially that they started that, and I was like, oh, they're talking about Vito Corleone and like 1901 is where we're
mhm.
at. And I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, I really kind of expected to just go right into where we left off, but it was interesting. I mean, I think I really enjoyed the older Vito, just seeing him when he said the prequel to his famous quote.
Oh,
He
yeah.
says, "I'll make an offer you don't refuse,"
You don't refuse. Yeah. I'm making an offer you don't
and it
refuse.
wasn't much of an offer, was it?
No.
He goes and kills him.
Yeah.
I'll make him an offer he don't refuse. Like at least he make when he later says the line, he's actually making an offer. It's just not a fair offer, but he makes an offer. He's like, I'll make an offer,
Well, he
but
did.
it's
I mean, he gave him the offer. He talked fair to him. I was like, look, I guess can't pay you back now. I guess not really much of an
it
offer,
wasn't an
but
offer
like,
because the guy was kind of like, oh, whatever, you're bold, you know that. It's, and he was like, he kind of respected it, but then he just killed him later. And I was like, okay, that's an interesting offer, but I did like the parallels between Vito going down that path and Michael going down that path. Is interesting.
well, the arc. It's almost like there. Yeah, the arc is very, it's very tonally dissonant in terms of like you see the rise of Vito, and he is happy. Like for
Hmm.
the first, like towards the end of his story, he's like happy for the first time. You know, he's with his family. He's enjoying life. He's able to protect them. He's able to provide a life for them. But it's exactly what he's doing that that sort of reflects down or trickles down to his son later in life. So it's like there's a lot of this sins of the father. I mean, like in the undertones is very much like everything that he did is now like it's a weight that his son has to carry, and because of a completely different time and place, and he's dealing with the ramifications of everything that his father got involved in and happened, and it's everything that his father stood for in all of this sort of the friendship, family's everything pretty much, and it's all completely crumbling and falling apart
Yeah,
at the seams. um
yeah, it's interesting because he completely loses sight of it
yeah,
as being the one character in the beginning of the first movie who was like, "That's my family. I'm not a part of that. Yeah,
right.
like I don't do that kind of stuff." He didn't approve of it,
Then he
but
embraces his family. His family kept in his arm's length basically until he starts to become like want to become more involved, and then he's welcomed in, and then that's like the most important thing throughout the first movie
mm-hmm.
to Michael is protecting his family, and it's like he this pursuit of power and how corruptive it is on his life just like eats away at all of the relationships that he has.
Yeah. So even when Vito Corleone in the first movie, like we established, like, yeah, he's not a good guy, but at least at the center of it all, family was something that always fell back on. That was
Mm.
like at least he had that moral compass there.
Mm-hmm.
But like now Michael doesn't even have that. And by the end of it, you have that scene in where it's like the flashback dinner scene,
Oh,
and it's like you can count all the people that are dead there. It's like,
so
wow.
beautiful. Oh,
It's like, yeah, 90% of those people are not there anymore,
yeah,
and most of it's because of Michael
yeah.
and his decisions. So
But it's like it's also like that spark that's when he had soul. He made up his mind. He's like, oh, you're talking about. He tells with like Tom Hagen. He's like, oh, so you're talking about. You guys are talking about my life. Like this is basically it's like you and my father are talking about my life, but it's my decision to make.
mm-hmm.
Um, and it just none of that's left. It flashes back to him sitting alone. None of that's left.
Yeah, and even the people that are left alive, it's like he doesn't value them as you feel like he should. His wife, I mean, he completely lost any of the light that he had in that relationship in the beginning,
But geez, yeah,
and it's
that
like
was all.
I mean, we saw we were like, yeah, it's not gonna be a good thing for her to get into this relationship after
No,
everything, but it's like he doesn't even treat her with respect by the end of it, and
no,
like his son, it's like I guess he cares about his son, but he's also just like, yeah, what gift did you give him? Just so I know what you got,
yeah,
like he's not really involved in it. Like at least Vito was involved with like the kids and everything.
yeah, yeah.
At least had that, but it's like completely distant. He's cold to everything now.
It's like he's so wrapped up in sort of the power politics of everything that's going on that he can't spare any time to spend with his family, and he distances himself from them towards the beginning when after the assassination attempt that's made. But that's the complete wrong. That was obviously the complete wrong answer because his wife did not take to that
Hmm.
at all.
Well, see, that's like the one shocking, like truly shocking scene. Like I had, like, there were a few in the first movie. I feel like the one truly shocking one was the one where it's like, um, Michael, why are the drapes open? And then it's just like
Yeah,
gunfire, boom. And it's
yeah.
like,
No, there were definitely some scenes where it's a slow burn. This one doesn't necessarily have as much it doesn't have as many like set piece action scenes or anything like that. I mean, the
mm,
first one it's hard to really say that like the action scenes were not long. They were all
just
over
like
within 30 seconds, but they were all there. They were punchy, you know.
I was saying, the first one had the all the iconic scenes for me. Like if you think of iconic scenes, that like they had more, there were more standout scenes in the first one for me.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I think the only thing that I think I'd kind of known about was sort of the last shots of this film are things that I knew about because sumptuous cinematography, like just absolutely beautiful, beautiful shots, and it's emphasizing something that his father literally would never do ever
Hmm.
in that situation. I agree. I mean I think I agree that like the iconic scenes are definitely like this is definitely more about the themes rather than like the themes and the slow descent into darkness pretty much and contrasting that with the rise of his father and sort of
Hmm.
all that kind of weaving in and out together.
Yeah, because I mean, I think for me, I really enjoyed this movie, obviously, but
Mm,
the reason the first one is so much better to me is that, I mean, I just enjoyed the movie more overall, and I feel like the pacing was better in the first one. I do feel like it was a little too long for this one, um, considering the content of it, and I feel like even though the first one was definitely dark, I felt like there was at least some lighthearted moments to make it more palatable. Than it's like just like this guy who's just horrible most of the time through this movie. It's like there's not a necessarily fun moments in there.
well,
Um,
most of the fun came in the flashback scenes. That was like all the and like
that's
even just the lighting alone is enough to sort of indicate like it's a much it starts kind of like in a dark thing because Vito gets the orphaned, and shipped off to America. But all of the scenes of him sort of like growing up with his getting a family, cherishing that family, protecting that family, all those scenes are there's nothing like sort of like haha funny really in them per se. I mean, I don't know. I did find it amusing uh when the guy was like, "Yeah, let's go." It's like we gotta pick up a rug. And he
mm-hmm.
just like they just go in and burgle this house. Like that
Yeah.
was fun. I thought I had a good time with that. Yeah,
I
this
like,
is like
and I like Frankie. He's weird. He's like super over the top personality. Frankie Pantangeli. Is that what his last name was?
pan yeah
Pantangeli.
Ponticelli, I think.
He's just like,
Ponticelli.
he's at like a 10, like right from the beginning in the whole
Yeah,
opening scene with Michael, and like the little Italian music bit they did in the beginning
mm,
where he's trying to get them to play some Italian
yeah,
music.
yeah.
But he's like crazy. He's wild. I like that.
They gave him. I think he was nominated for best supporting actor for
Mm-hmm.
this, but Robert De Niro ended up winning,
Oh yeah.
which I think he deserved. It was a very understated performance. It was very like subtle,
Mm-hmm.
but very powerful and very effective. One of the things also, another thing that I really liked was how the film sort of visually nods to Fredo in how when Vito's sort of growing up, the way he parts his hair, his mustache, everything points to Fredo.
Hmm.
So it's sort of like that. That to me, kind of like almost like just sort of like a weird visual cue back to, because Fredo is very important to a lot of the plot of this film.
Yeah, which I didn't see that coming.
I didn't see that coming either. Um, the relationship, I mean, there's so many different sources of conflict um, in the film. But the Fredo, that sort of relationship of between Michael and Fredo is so important, and I think is like the true indication of just how lost and gone Michael is.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Because just everything became a business transaction to him at that point. It wasn't like
yeah,
wasn't about the family. It's like, well, you did this, so I'm not gonna kill you when mother's alive. But it's literally like as soon as she's dead, he's already making moves to
yeah.
have him killed. You know.
We were talking about a shocking scene earlier, but I thought the argument between Michael and Kay, right?
K. Yeah, I think
Kay,
so.
I think is her name. That was shocking. I was a little shocked by that.
Yeah.
Just like how that went down.
And
That was an intense argument.
yeah, and it's like in case you weren't against Michael or not on Michael's side at that point, it's like he had no compassion whatsoever. It's like
No.
just like, you think I'm gonna let you go? And then it was an abortion, and then he hits her, and then it's great. Love that.
I mean, it's great in terms of the drama. It's not great in terms of it's heart wrenching
It's
to
the
see.
substance of it I love.
Oh yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
in terms of what it's getting across as a film, sure.
No, I just love that she got an abortion. Okay.
Yeah. No, that's it was horrible. That she felt that they need. It was like, yeah, her.
Yeah.
So she'd had a. Supposedly, we were told by Tom Hagen. We, as in Michael, was told by Tom Hagen that she had a miscarriage while he was away. And he was off doing business. He was basically off doing business dealings. He was off in Havana, looking into maybe getting involved with even deeper with. He's kind of like he's sort of like the antagonist, the sort of
Johnny or no,
antagonist.
Hyman Roth.
Hyman Roth. That's it. He's the sort of.
Yeah, Hyman. Great name.
He's sort of the. Yeah, that's unfortunate. He is sort of the sort of like big bad that sort of stands against the Corleone family, and fairly imposing figure. I think that actor does an amazing job, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Michael's off doing all that Jimmy Jams, and we're told by Tom Hagen after the intermission that, or no, not after the intermission. That came a little later. When he came back, see, this is a very long movie.
Yeah.
He comes back from Havana, and Tom Hagen tells him, your wife had a miscarriage. But then after this trial, that Hyman Roth basically tries to get Freddie Pasted, whatever.
Frankie
I don't remember the name.
Pentangeli.
Pentangeli?
Pentangeli.
Sorry, we're terrible at these names. Basically gets him to try to rat out Michael and the whole Corleone, the whole history of the Corleone family. And anyway, so after that proceeding ends up just getting all kind of thrown up in the air because Frankie tells the politicians, is like, nah, I made all that up.
Mm-hmm.
I just made it up. He's like, well, we have a signed affidavit that says, and it was all because like his brother flew in, like Michael had his brother come in from Sicily,
Yeah.
and to basically kind of like remind him like you better step in, stay in line. You know, you gotta help out your fellow man, your fellow Sicilians here. So, um, but then after all that, his wife is like, "Well, you got what you wanted, but I'm out of here."
Yeah, I'm out.
And also, by the way, that wasn't a miscarriage; that was an abortion, because I don't want you to have a son to bring that into the world into something like this.
Mm-hmm.
You don't deserve to have a son. And it was like, oh, that's what a horrible. Just everything about that is just like so. This is the thing. Michael is such a corrupting force that it's poisoning everyone around him. All the relationships fall apart.
You think
It's great stuff. It's happy
it's
stuff.
Do you think? Do you think if Apollonia didn't blow up in the car, it would be in a different spot here? Michael might not be so dark.
Yeah, I mean, maybe potentially. I mean, he could have considered. I don't know. He may have just thought of Kay as just a weak link. She doesn't have any sort of. I mean, she even says this whole Sicilian thing
Mm-hmm.
to him. So like he probably figured her even bringing that up is already like showing how much she just doesn't understand about this culture. But really, it's just he's gone. He's horrible. He's gone. He's lost
Mm-hmm.
completely. He's not Michael anymore, really. Not the one we knew at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, she might have been down for it. She wanted to learn how to drive a car.
There was simpler times out there
Yeah.
with Apollonia on
Mm.
the countryside. It was nice. And then, like when she got blown up, it's like his happiness was gone, and it's like, well, I'm not gonna try to be happy again. Let me just be awful and bring everyone down with me. Also, do you like? I feel like Solo, a Star Wars story, was inspired by Vito's origin story. It's so similar,
What?
where he's like Vito. My name is Vito. When he was a young little boy.
Oh yeah.
And he comes up and he's like, I'm Vito, whatever his last name was, Angolini, from Corleone, and he's like, oh, Vito
Yeah.
Corleone. That's
Yeah.
like exactly the Han Solo moment.
Yeah.
They're both at the little ticket.
Yeah,
booths.
I mean, like at immigration offices, stuff like that would happen. They would just
Han Solo.
assign you a less complicated name or a less hard to remember name or what have you. A lot of times, people did get named after, you know, places they were from.
Mm-hmm.
Not as stupid as Solo.
It's the same difference, except that one's in space.
Except it's really not, because it was like, oh, you're alone, Solo.
Oh,
So I was like, that's
we got a Solo one. Yeah. So yeah, for me, it's like I don't know. I feel like in having Marlon Brando in the first one was also a big plus to me. So it's
yeah. That's definitely true. That's definitely true.
so having like him as well as Al Pacino on the rise, and then like a lot of these family members that are dead by the end of this movie, you know. So I feel like there's a lot more there in terms of like people to enjoy and actors to enjoy, and in comparison to this one where it's like very Michael centric, is really just Michael's story, and like I feel like they needed to incorporate Vito's backstory in order to make the story work. Otherwise, I think they realized it would just be really a bummer to watch just Michael's story.
I mean, I think what makes it even more interesting though is kind of like what we were saying, what you said earlier though, with the sort of parallels of their life, because they're right around the same age at that period of time,
Mm-hmm.
more or less, and yeah. So,
All right. Anything else?
I already mentioned the cinematography. One of my favorite things in the movie, sort of shots or scenes, is really kind of, I think, one of the sort of first moments where you're like, all right, he's definitely like, I don't even know if he's barely likable anymore.
Yeah.
Where they kill that prostitute that the senator is sleeping with, and then basically in order to sort of manipulate him. But the shot where where the senator's sort of freaking out in front of that mirror, or he's like on a table, he's taking a drink, but then there's a mirror that's framed in the shot, and you just see the dead woman's face, and it's just like, that's art, man. That's art. Like, it's so good. It's like, you know.
Yeah, I like the scene at the end where they shoot Alfredo. I really like the when he's like on the boat and the framing of the shot, where he's like kind of, you see like the very front of the gun, just barely in the shot right before it like kind of drifts over to him on the side of the frame, and then just it goes away and you hear the gunshot. I was like,
yeah, it cuts to the shot of like
Michael creeping in like a Michael
darkly.
Myers.
So
moment.
It's such a chilling shot where he watches his brother get murdered on his order. And it's just
that's great. Like, does he have
so
any family left?
I mean, his kids. That's about it.
Well, doesn't he just have one?
His sister.
Doesn't he have one kid? How many kids do you have?
Oh, did he have two? He had a daughter and a son and a daughter. Oh. Right?
I thought it was just the son.
No, because remember when Kay came and visited? The daughter was giving her kisses. And then the little boy wouldn't.
yeah. And he does have a sister who also hates him. So it's good. It's good. I'm looking forward to Godfather Part 3.
But she doesn't. I mean, I guess she sort of does. But like, she also is the one that's like. Well, she probably will now.
She does, and like pleaded with him in tears just to spare Alfredo's life. She was, because she knew he was a monster about to kill this guy.
And so he agreed to.
And she hated him because
then he did anyway.
Because he killed Carlo, and then he's over here like. The ink hasn't even dried in your divorce papers, and you're already trying to get married?
Yeah, because she's trying to get married to some other dude. Apparently she can you blame her for not finding well, I mean, I guess, I kind of would. She did marry sort of an abusive jerk.
Yeah. But like, how can he say that? You're the one who killed her husband.
Yeah, I know.
You haven't looked at
he's
the divorce papers.
Michael is horrible, but that's the thing, right? You know how we sort of ended our first review into being like, this movie does sort of glorify this lifestyle. This is why this to me is like the other half of them. It's like the same. It's like the other side of the coin. Like, this is really like, I can't really extricate now The Godfather from Part 2. Because I think Part 2 is such an important slice of understanding this horrible, the underbelly, the dark side of a dark job, a dark profession. And it's, to me, I think that's why I enjoyed it so much. I think it basically spoke to what we said at the end of it, where we were like, yeah, this does kind of glorify it. It's like, this doesn't glorify it at all. This makes us look just terrible and miserable. How it tears people apart, tears families apart, and everything.
I have such minimal knowledge of The Godfather in general before watching these, but I do know that the third one is considered the worst, and I can totally see why from how this is set up. Like, what do I have to look forward to? And
this is like a perfect ending. Really? I mean, it's a downer ending, but it's like
you're just going to get more and more miserable with Michael in the next one, and he's got no family left, and like, I'm really curious what they do with it.
I am very curious too. I've heard there was a new cut of the film that it was Francis Ford Coppola re-edited it just literally like 3 months ago. It just came out. I don't know if that's the version that we're going to see or not. I don't know. I'm going to guess not. I don't know how to even get my hands on that, but it came out. It was like edited. It came out in theaters, and I think it was released on streaming and Blu-ray as well. So. And
again, I don't know any specifics, so I just know that it's not like generally well regarded, but I don't know like why or what the problems are with it. And
I don't know.
I'm curious to see. Maybe I'll love it. Maybe I'll love Michael. Michael will have a true redemption by the end of it.
Yeah, I know basically nothing about it, so.
We'll love Michael by the end of the third one. It's like, wow, Michael, I can't believe I hated him.
I do know one thing. I know Sofia Coppola is in this.
I I don't know who that is.
That
So
is Francis Ford Coppola's daughter.
okay.
But his sister has been in all of these films.
Oh,
She's she
Connie.
plays what? Yeah,
Connie.
she's Connie. Yeah, and she's also. This is something where it was bothering me for a while because I was like, why do I recognize her? And it's like she's Adrian from Rocky films.
Hmm.
And I couldn't, for some whatever reason, I just didn't figure that out.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's Francis Ford Coppola's sister, and her one of her sons is Jason Schwartzman,
Hmm. Okay.
which I didn't know until I was doing some Wikipedia, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool."
Oh, by the way, I like how young Vito. He's still got the voice. The voice is already brewing for the.
Yeah, he's already got kind of a. Yeah, that's great. I know. So that's another kind of cool standout thing. That Robert De Niro had like maybe 3 lines of English in this whole movie.
Hmm.
They spoke
Yeah, yeah,
Italian the whole time,
yeah.
almost in the flashback sequences. So I thought that was awesome. I really liked that.
Yeah. Shout out to the Italians, straight up. Love that.
It just like the grandstand. Also, that was another one of my favorite. The grandstanding senator that was trying to blackmail Michael at the beginning. He's
Yeah.
like, I do have to say is because most of my constituents are Italians, Italian
Yeah,
Americans.
this is not a reflection.
What a fine people. Do not throw out the apple cart with the bad apples. You know, and
Yeah, right. I'll
being
see you
like,
later.
we have such great heroes like Christopher Columbus.
Who could forget Wild Bill Hickok? um, so, yeah. What? Let's see. What score would you give The Godfather Part 2?
Now, despite singing its praises, I do hesitate to just throw another 10 out here.
Hmm.
I do hesitate. And I think that's just because I think I had more fun watching the first film. This was not as enjoyable of a movie to watch, but I think it was thematically so rich that it bears repeat viewing. And I'm going to say that about the first film as well. Not necessarily that it was as thematically rich, which it does have some really good themes and has good character moments and all that. And watch our earlier review for us to go into detail about that. But you go first this time.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna give it an 8.5.
Okay.
It's to me, it's not near the. I think it's a whole other level below the first one. I think the first one, I can't see myself watching this one very often. I can see myself watching the first one and that being the movie that I feel like people need to see. Like, it's just all around. It's got a lot to offer in terms of objectively being a great film and also just enjoyment. This one is more like as a scholarly film watcher, you might enjoy it, but not everyone's gonna enjoy it as much. And I didn't enjoy it as much as I did the first one. Missing a lot of the cast of characters and generally just more depressing. And but yeah, I still think it's great, but just not on that level for me.
I'm really torn. I'm gonna give it a 9.5.
Hmm.
A little star that might rise. It might rise eventually in my mind to a 10.
To a perfect 10. That's crazy.
So
That's
it's a 9.5. I thought this film was very very bold especially in how it didn't just.
You have to have a high IQ to appreciate this film.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say that. But I mean, definitely not as much of a crowd pleaser. I think I definitely agree with that. I think the first one is more watchable. I would. You can't watch part 2 without watching part 1. Some sequels you can kind of get away with that with. This is not one of those. You absolutely need to watch the first one before you watch the second
with the
one.
Vito flashbacks. Like, there's not really much.
Yeah.
It wouldn't have as much impact if you didn't see where he was in the first one.
If you didn't see where he was, and also, I mean, you just need to know Michael. You need to know his whole arc of like how he's here.
Yeah, he's
and everything.
because he's already like on the bad side of the spectrum in this one, whereas you get to see him get to that in the first one.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think he. The thing is that like, Coppola reached for the friggin' stars for this one, and I think he reached and he succeeded. at being headier than the first film. Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. Eventually, it might rise to a 10 in my mind. For now, I'm holding that in reservation, because I just gave The Godfather that, and I still stand by that very, very firmly.
Yeah. Yes, that gives
yeah.
us a Tarqaron score of 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
All right. So next week, Godfather Part 3. Where does Michael's fun journey take us next?
Where does it go? Well, here's the thing. These movies were filmed. Godfather came out in 72. Part 2 came out in 74. This film came out in 1990.
Yeah.
So buckle up for 15 years of aging on Al Pacino.
Yeah. It's crazy how in the Part 3 Apollonia comes back to life. That was a crazy choice.
You have some time travel shenanigans, yeah.
It's just like the family's all back by the end of the movie.
The family's all returned.
The 5 heads of the families are back also. Everybody's there.
I mean, like, it's still a long film, but like it has to be sort of like an epilogue, kind of, you know, like the story.
Do you know how long the third one is?
It's like 3 hours again.
Oof.
So a 3-hour film, yeah.
3 hours of depression. Love that. There's no way there's any fun moment in the third one, right? It's like,
I don't know. Well, that's see, the thing is that the only thing I know about Sofia Coppola is that apparently people do not like her. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a bad performance or the character sucks or what. But
there's gonna be a really heartwarming moment at the end of the third one where he
would
throws
be
the
so
ball
awkward.
around with his son, and we're like, oh, I love Michael now. Look at
That'd
him
be
playing ball.
Wow. Yeah, now that he doesn't have a soul, like what is there really to kind of
I know.
delve into? I'm very
You
curious.
can't give him a redemption arc at this point, so and you just going deeper down this hole. It's like, oof. I don't know, like the prospects of like maybe it'll be like his demise or something.
His ultimate. I mean, this movie kind of was his demise
Yeah, but
to a point.
maybe we'll get like a brutal, satisfying demise of
Maybe
him.
like a death, like a comeuppance. Maybe his comeuppance might be satisfying.
I feel like
actually.
the third one will not have like anything redeeming from it if if it ends with him like peacefully or like living out a normal life or dying of old age. You know, he needs to like
he's got to die. He's got to
needs
die
to get
in a
his
satisfying way.
Yeah.
I
And then
agree.
at least that'll be something to look forward to, you know.
Something to look forward to.
Kay will kill him herself,
Maybe. Yeah.
and she becomes. She takes up the mantle.
Diane Keaton takes over. And
This is the third one. Is her fall into darkness. That's awesome. Everyone there's always someone going bad every movie. All right. Thank you for watching. If you were to recommend a video for our viewers to watch after they watch this one, what would you recommend?
I'd recommend that they go check out our review of The Princess Bride.
Mm-hmm.
A much lighter tone film than this one.
Yeah.
Definitely,
I've heard that part 3 resembles it.
You definitely need a
very
palate
similar.
cleanser after talking about killing prostitutes and abortions and such.
Godfather Part 3 is very similar in tone to The Princess Bride, I've heard.
I hope not. That would be so awkward. That'd be. God, I mean, I don't even know if people would probably pull like what they do with Indiana Jones 4 and pretend it doesn't exist. So,
but this is
if
a
that was the
trilogy, like so. The third
It
part,
is.
it's got like whether you like it or not, it's got to have some big impact on this series.
Yeah.
All right, so thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, subscribe to our podcast feed, like the video, leave a comment, hit the notification bell, and follow us on Twitter at Tarqaron, TWOK.